Welcome to Book Summary Podcast, your gateway to personal transformation. Each episode delivers big ideas from the world's most impactful books on mindset, productivity, and success, all in just a few minutes. Ready to turn knowledge into action? Let's get started.
Have you ever found yourself wondering, maybe looking around thinking, why do some people seem to just effortlessly accumulate wealth and success, while others, maybe people you know, maybe even yourself, despite working just as hard, seem to be constantly struggling?
It's a common feeling, definitely.
Yeah, and you ask, is it just luck? Or are they super intelligent? Maybe they got a lucky inheritance. These are the kind of big, persistent questions, And they often feel like they just don't have clear, actionable answers for most of us.
Right. And what if the real answer wasn't something complex or out of reach? What if it was actually, well, surprisingly simple, yet profoundly impactful?
Simple how?
Something hidden, really, in plain sight, woven into the seemingly mundane rhythm of our daily lives. The truth, it turns out, is probably far more accessible than most people imagine.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're looking at an extraordinary set of sources. The decades, literally decades, of meticulous research by Thomas Corley. It's all laid out in his groundbreaking book, Rich Habits, The Daily Success Habits of Wealthy Individuals.
That's the one.
And our mission today is to unpack his extensive work to reveal what he actually calls the 21st century blueprint for financial success. And importantly, to show you, our listener, how even the most desperate situations can be completely turned around.
And not by magic, right? Not by winning the lottery.
Exactly. But by a consistent, deliberate approach to how you live your life day in and day out.
It starts with Thomas Corley himself, or J.C. Jobs, as he's known in the stories we'll share today. He's a certified public accountant, a CPA, and a certified financial planner, a CFP.
So he knows his stuff.
Oh, absolutely. He's advised over 1,000 individuals and small businesses during his career. And that gave him this incredible front row seat to the financial lives of a huge spectrum of people. Rich, poor, struggling, thriving. He saw it all.
And his big breakthrough, this pivotal discovery, it actually began with one specific client.
Yes, a struggling client. And the situation was paradoxical, really confusing. This client's business was actually growing, which made his financial difficulties even more perplexing.
Growing, but struggling. How does that work?
Well, despite increasing revenue, he had immense trouble just making ends meet, especially when payroll came around each month. He just looked at Corley, completely bewildered, and asked that question, what am I doing wrong?
And Corley, being the diligent professional he is, dove in, spent months analyzing everything, the business, expenses, processes, labor rates, compared it all to industry data.
He even went so far as to seek advice from one of his rich clients in the very same industry, trying to find a benchmark,
Right. And what's truly fascinating, and must have been incredibly frustrating for Corley at the time, was that they simply couldn't find any traditional glaring deficiency.
Exactly. Nothing obvious in the financials, nothing in the operations that pointed to the problem. It was a real head-scratcher.
So the numbers weren't telling the whole story.
Not at all. So they're at a lunch meeting. Corley basically confesses he can't figure it out, and this uncomfortable silence settles over the table.
Awkward.
Very. So in an effort to just break that silence, Corley asks a simple question, almost offhand. What do you do when you come home at night?
Just generally.
Yeah. And this is where it gets really interesting. The client's whole demeanor immediately shifts. He gets this almost impish look on his face, and with his knowing smile, he asks Corley, which night?
Okay. Intriguing.
Corley, probably sensing something important here, just plays along. Pick your favorite night.
And then the client says?
Wednesday. So Corley presses him, what do you do on Wednesday nights? And the client leans in, looks around the restaurant, checking who might overhear.
Oh.
And quietly confesses. He had a few sex workers, a few bottles of wine, but he stops mid-sentence. He sees the look of shock on Corley's face.
I can imagine.
The client quickly apologizes, sorry, TMI. But Corley instantly reassures him. He wasn't shocked out of moral indignation. He was utterly floored by a realization.
Which was?
That he had been asking all the wrong questions.
Oh.
This is the epiphany. Financial problems, he suddenly understood, ran far deeper than just business metrics or income statements.
They were rooted in something else entirely.
Something far more personal, something consistent, something habitual.
Wow. So that one awkward confession changed everything.
It launched Corley, or JC, as he became known in these efforts, down a completely new path. He developed this detailed 20-question list. And over a remarkable 5-year period, he meticulously posed these questions to practically everyone he knew professionally.
Rich clients, poor clients.
Rich clients, poor clients, business partners, acquaintances, everyone. And what he uncovered from this extensive data gathering was monumental.
What did he find?
He realized there was a difference the size of the Grand Canyon. Literally, his words. In how rich people and poor people live their daily lives.
The Grand Canyon. That's a huge difference.
It was stark. So this one struggling client, completely unknowingly, became the catalyst for Corley's discovery of the true secret to financial success. A secret woven intricately into the very fabric of our daily habits.
Okay, so let's unpack this blueprint a bit more. Before we get into the specifics of the rich habits themselves, I think it's really important to look at the lives these habits transformed, because these aren't just abstract principles, right?
Not at all. They're grounded in real stories, real people.
And you'll probably recognize elements of these stories because, as it turns out, J.C. Jobs often found his future clients, the people he helped, by seeing a reflection of his own past struggles in them, or sometimes through others who recognized that same desperate need.
That's right. And the motivation behind J.C. Jobs, the accountant, it stems from a deeply personal tragedy. It's truly heartbreaking, actually. His beloved wife, Denise, was diagnosed with something called cervical intraepithelial neoplasia. It's a serious condition requiring surgery. Essentially, precancerous abnormal cell growth in the cervix. Needs intervention.
Okay. Serious stuff.
Very. And here's the kicker. Despite his profession, despite being a CPA, they simply couldn't afford the surgery.
Wait, an accountant couldn't afford a necessary surgery?
The $5,000 deductible was it was an insurmountable barrier for them at that moment. They didn't have it.
Wow. That's stark.
So Denise, trying to be pragmatic, maybe trying to protect him from more stress during the busy tax season, she made the heartbreaking decision to wait. Wait until after tax season, hoping they'd have more money then.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And this decision, as you can probably guess, had tragic consequences. Her illness worsened, it turned into full-blown cancer, and she passed away.
Oh, that's awful.
Leaving JC with 3 young children and this profound, just gnawing self-blame that he carried with him every single day. It's crushing to even think about.
Absolutely crushing.
It was nearly a year after she passed, the story goes, that the really thick fog of grief and guilt finally began to lift for JC a little bit. And it was sparked by a dream.
A dream?
A vivid dream. Denise appeared to him, and she simply said, all you need to do is ask the right questions.
Ask the right questions. Just like his realization with the client.
Exactly. This dream just burned in his mind. It became the catalyst for an obsession. He started thinking, wait, I know more about tax and finance than many of my most successful clients. So a lack of technical knowledge can't be the core issue for me. He needed to understand what they were doing right that he was doing wrong.
And that's where his flash of genius really ignited, right? He realized comparing successful to unsuccessful was the key.
Precisely. He'd started creating a list of questions just for his successful clients, but then it hit him. The answers from the wealthy would only really mean something if he could compare them side by side to the answers from his unsuccessful clients.
That comparison is everything.
It was groundbreaking. It turned a simple project into this 5-year obsession. And it revealed that Grand Canyon difference in their daily habits.
Can you give an example?
Sure. When he asked people what they did after leaving the office each day, the answers were completely different. His successful clients, they were engaged in countless activities, serving on nonprofit boards, professional organizations, speaking engagements, teaching, volunteering, networking, even just continuing work in their home offices.
Busy people.
Very engaged. The unsuccessful group, their answers were strikingly uniform, almost depressingly so. Dinner, television, maybe some light recreation, bed, repeat.
Wow, that is a stark difference.
It really is. And this stark contrast is how the rich habits were categorized and identified.
Yeah.
It formed the very blueprint he now shares.
So these were the kinds of individuals JC then sought out to help, often through others who'd been through the program, like Phoenix Upman, the insurance salesman.
Yes, Phoenix. His story is quite compelling. He was in a truly dire situation. A struggling insurance salesman, doing so badly he couldn't even afford the tuition for his son to go to Brookline, their local community college, which apparently offered discounted rates to county residents, so it wasn't even expensive.
That must have felt terrible.
He felt like a complete failure. He was self-medicating his despair at the local bar, lighting up cigarettes, draining pint after pint, just lamenting out loud, "How'd I get to be such a failure?"
Just talking to himself.
Pretty much. His appearance reflected it too. Receding hairline, expanding waistline, deep creases of worry etched on his face. He even despaired that if he died, he didn't have enough life insurance to make that worthwhile. For an insurance salesman.
Oof. The irony is brutal.
He really is.
Yeah.
So there he is one night, sitting in his car after the bartender cut him off, fumbling for his keys, feeling the cold air, just completely resigned to his bad luck. And then a sudden knock on his car window.
Who was it?
A guy named Champ Daly. He'd apparently overheard Phoenix's laments at the bar. Champ, seemingly out of nowhere, offers help. And he uses that phrase, that sort of hallmark phrase of J.C. Jobs' approach, "I'm just a man looking in a very old mirror."
Looking in a very old mirror. What does that even mean?
It implies recognition. I see my past self in you. I know where you are because I've been there. Champ himself is a product of J.C. Jobs' methods. He insisted he could help Phoenix and gave him J.C.'s number.
Phoenix must have been suspicious.
Oh, definitely. He thought, is this a loan shark? What's the catch? He even said something like, what, you're like fate or something? But Champ persisted. And Phoenix, well, he was at rock bottom. He genuinely felt he had nothing to lose at this point. So he made the call.
Another story you mentioned involves Dee Worthy. A very different situation, right?
Very different, yes. Dee was a young secretary, only 24, working at a company called Sunblade Inc. They distributed saw blades. And she had obvious potential. Her boss saw it. But she was plagued by what he called bad habits.
Like what?
Chronic tardiness, constantly being distracted, this general air of indifference about her work. Just not engaged.
And the source mentioned complex reasons behind that.
Right. It wasn't just laziness. There were deep-seated family issues. She sought refuge from those issues in food, which led to near obesity and frequent sick days. And her family, sensing her insecurity, financially exploited her. They leveraged her own belief that, "I'm not that smart."
That's terrible, using her own self-doubt against her.
Exactly. Her boss, John Andrews, clearly saw her potential, though. He really tried to help. He even gave her a second chance after some initial problems, setting clear conditions, make up any missed time, and he implemented a 3-strike system for any further issues.
Fair enough.
You'd think so. But Dee resented him for it. She felt singled out, unfairly targeted, and ultimately she hit strike 3. She was terminated.
And that's when things got really bad for her.
That's when Dee hit rock bottom. She ended up homeless, ran out of money completely.
Yeah.
And she was so humiliated, so ashamed, that she couldn't even bring herself to join the line at St. Michael's Food Kitchen, even though she was absolutely starving.
Gosh, that's a low point.
Just pacing around the block, unable to join the line. It was during this moment of utter despair, crying on a curb, that a volunteer from the kitchen, Jan Good, approached her.
Another person who'd been helped.
Yes, Jan, like Champ, had his own transformation story thanks to J.C. Jobs. He recognized Dee's pain, saw that reflection of his own past struggles. He handed her some food and, using that same significant phrase, told her he understood. And he shared J.C. Jobs' information. That encounter was her lifeline.
Incredible. And then there's Herb Reiser, the car dealer. His crisis sounds more immediate, more business-focused.
Absolutely. Imminent and catastrophic. The bank was threatening to repossess his entire inventory of cars. Bankruptcy loomed, financial ruin, not just for him, but for his family and all his employees.
The pressure must have been immense.
He was sitting in his car, just overwhelmed, asking himself, how did I let this happen? How am I possibly going to tell my wife? The irony was he used to be a top salesman, the best salesman at every dealership he'd ever worked for. He could, as they say, sell ice to Eskimos.
So he achieves his dream, owning his own dealership, and then it falls apart. What went wrong?
His crucial mistake, as he later realized, was this intense tunnel vision on the sale. He saw customers purely as prospects to be conquered, one-time transactions, not relationships to be built.
The short-term view.
Exactly. His aggressive, cutthroat selling skills, which made him a star salesman, actually became a cancer to his organization as an owner. It drove away repeat business, service customers, everything that builds long-term success.
Had anyone warned him?
His former boss had actually tried. He'd given him advice like, Herb, we want these customers for life. There's a whole lot more to making money here than just selling a car. But Herb hadn't truly grasped it back then. He was just focused on closing the next deal.
So she's facing ruin. What happens?
He's sitting on his porch, dreading going inside, feeling like an intruder about to shatter his family's world. And then an unexpected encounter. A woman in her mid-50s, Susan Changer, walks onto his empty dealership lot. She's looking for a car for her daughter.
At this point, he probably just wants her to leave.
He tries. In his despair, he basically tells her he's about to go out of business, don't bother. But Susan, who reveals she had also experienced bankruptcy in her past, she insists he tell her what happened.
She saw something in him.
She must have. After hearing his brutally honest story of failure, she also offers him a lifeline. She sees that reflection, I'm just a person looking in a very old mirror, and gives him J.C. Jobs' number. Like the others, Herb was desperate. He clutched that piece of paper like it was the most valuable thing in the world.
These stories are incredible. They really set the stage for why these habits are so powerful. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Because before Corley even dives into the specific habits, he first tackles this huge misconception.
The idea of luck.
Exactly. The idea that financial success is primarily about luck. It's such a convenient excuse, isn't it? You know, oh, they just got lucky. But Corley unpacks this in a way that really reframes the whole concept.
It truly does. He doesn't dismiss luck entirely. In fact, he says good luck is important. He states pretty clearly that no one will ever be successful without some good luck hitting them along the way.
Okay, so luck plays a role.
It does. But he breaks it down. He categorizes luck into 4 distinct types, which is really insightful.
What are they?
First, there's random good luck. This is the stuff we have absolutely no control over. Winning the lottery, getting an unexpected inheritance from a long-lost relative.
That kind of thing.
Pure chance.
Pure chance. Rare, unpredictable, and definitely not something you can build a plan around.
Right. Then there's the opposite.
Random bad luck. Also completely uncontrollable. We can't influence things like coming down with a serious illness unexpectedly, getting struck by lightning, a tree falling on your house during a storm. External, unforeseen misfortunes. They just happen. Okay, so far so good. Random good, random bad. What else?
This is where it gets transformative.
Yeah.
He introduces opportunity luck. This is the good luck that is, crucially, he says, a byproduct of good daily habits.
A byproduct? How does that work?
He uses a brilliant analogy. Think of an apple orchard. You don't just sit around hoping for apples to magically appear.
No, you have to plant the trees.
Exactly. You diligently prepare the land, you plant the apple seeds, maybe saplings, and then you tirelessly nurture those trees as they grow. You water them, protect them from pests, prune them.
A lot of work. Consistent work.
Consistent work over time. Eventually those trees blossom and they bear fruit. Those apples, that fruit, represents opportunity luck. Successful people consistently do the things necessary day in and day out over the long haul for opportunity luck to eventually manifest in their lives.
So the rich habits are like planting those seeds.
Precisely. He says the rich habits are like a magnet for opportunity luck. They attract opportunities that often appear completely unexpected, seemingly out of the blue. Some people might call this the law of attraction, but Corley frames it very practically. It's a direct, predictable consequence of diligent, habitual action.
That makes so much sense. It demystifies it. Okay, so what's the 4th type?
The 4th is detrimental luck. He calls it the evil twin of opportunity luck.
Uh-oh. Sounds ominous.
Well, it is in a way. Just as good habits plant seeds that eventually bear good fruit, bad habits are also seeds. They take root, they grow, and eventually they too bear fruit.
Bad fruit.
Bad fruit,
Yeah.
Unfortunately. This manifests as detrimental luck. Maybe losing your job, suffering significant investment losses, a home foreclosure, divorce, recurring illnesses that could have been prevented. These aren't random, Corley argues. They're the predictable consequences of consistent negative daily patterns.
So if someone constantly says, I just have bad luck, Corley would say,
He'd prompt them to look closely at their daily habits, not just blame external forces or randomness. Are their actions planting seeds for detrimental luck?
wow, that's a powerful reframe. You're not just a victim of luck. You're actively cultivating one kind or the other.
That's the core message. It's profound. To invite success, you don't chase random good luck. You cultivate opportunity luck.
Yeah.
Living the rich habits, Corley guarantees, will attract that opportunity luck. Opportunities will appear seemingly out of thin air. Like low-hanging fruit, he says, all you have to do is reach out and pick it.
So these habits, this is the 21st century blueprint he talks about.
Exactly. A foolproof process, he calls it, that applies to anyone, absolutely anyone willing to embrace it and do the work.
Okay, so we've seen the impact in those stories. We understand luck isn't just random. What is the actual framework? What are these habits? Where do we even start?
Let's dive in. Rich habit, #1. form good daily habits. This is the foundation, it's the bedrock. And frankly, it's probably the most powerful single habit.
Why is it number one?
Because Corley found that successful people are essentially slaves to their good daily habits. They possess many, many good habits and very few bad ones. And often, they do them almost unconsciously. It's just part of who they are.
It's not about constant willpower.
Less about willpower and more about building an automated system. These tiny, almost unconscious actions relentlessly pull you towards your goals. It makes success feel almost inevitable, not like something you have to constantly fight for. And this habit helps you identify your strengths and weaknesses in a really concrete way, much better than just vague self-assessment.
Okay, makes sense. So how do you actually do it? How do you form these good habits?
Corley recommends a very straightforward, practical exercise. Take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. 2 columns.
Okay.
In the first column, list your bad daily habits. Be honest. Everything from watching too much TV, procrastinating on tasks, maybe not exercising consistently, gossiping, whatever they are for you.
Get it all out there.
Get it all out there. Then in the second column, you invert each one of those bad habits to create your new good daily habits.
So like, I watch too much TV becomes...
It becomes, I limit myself to 1 hour of TV per day.
Okay.
Or I procrastinate becomes I complete all items on my daily to-do list. I don't exercise becomes I exercise aerobically for 30 minutes, 4 days a week.
You define the positive replacement.
Exactly. Then the objective is to consciously follow these new good habits every day for 30 days. Review them morning, noon, bedtime, keep them top of mind. Aim for at least 80% completion daily. Nobody's perfect, but aim high.
And the contrast with unsuccessful people here is...
stark. They tend to have many bad habits, very few good ones, and often they're completely unaware of them. They're just reacting to life, letting habits run them instead of the other way around.
Got it. Okay, habit. #1 is the foundation. What's next?
Rich habit. #2. Set goals. Daily, monthly, yearly, long term. Successful people are intensely goal-oriented. They're constantly looking towards the future, thinking about where they want to go, and making course corrections along the way to stay on track.
They're not dwelling on the past.
Not really. They learn from it, sure, but they don't live there. They're forward-thinking. This provides direction. It grounds their daily tasks. It prevents that aimless floating that often characterizes unsuccessful individuals. Corley describes them as being like leaves on a fall day, just blown around by whatever comes their way, easily distracted. Goals provide an anchor.
So how does this look practically? Daily goals first.
Daily goals.
Yeah.
You compile a to-do list before each day begins, maybe the night before. Crucially, only include items you have an 80% realistic probability of actually completing that day. Don't overload yourself.
Be realistic.
Be realistic. Prioritize the list, maybe set specific times for key tasks, and then physically tick them off as you complete them. Congratulate yourself. At the end of the day, evaluate the list, hold yourself accountable. Did you do what you set out to do?
And then the longer-term goals. Monthly, yearly.
Break them down. A big yearly goal, like passing the CPA exam, gets broken down into monthly study targets, weekly chapter reviews, daily study sessions. A long-term goal, maybe buying a house in 5 years, gets broken down into a monthly savings target. I need to save $1,000 per month. That monthly goal then informs your daily spending habits.
It all connects.
It all connects. And Corley highlights a powerful visualization technique here, the vision board. Or even just writing down your goal. He tells the story of Jim Carrey, the actor.
Oh, yeah, I've heard this one.
Right. Early in his career, Carrey famously wrote himself a check for, I think it was $10 million initially, maybe $20 million later, for acting services rendered, dated it for the future, and kept it in his wallet where he'd see it every day.
And eventually
he got paid that much for a movie. It sounds almost magical, but Corley argues it's about conditioning your mind, constantly aligning your thoughts and actions with your desired future, making it feel real before it happens.
Powerful stuff. Okay, habit #3.
Rich habit #3. Engage in self-improvement every day. This is huge. Successful people are perpetual students. They are masters or constantly striving to be masters of their industry, their profession, their craft.
How do they do that?
Consistent learning. They read industry periodicals, technical journals, books related to their field for a minimum of 30 minutes every single day.
30 minutes a day. Doesn't sound like much, but I guess it adds up.
It adds up enormously. This isn't just about staying current. The real insight here is that consistent, focused learning, even just for 30 minutes, creates this exponential knowledge advantage over time. Think compound interest, but for your brain.
So they're not just reacting to changes in their field.
They're anticipating them. or sometimes even creating them. They discover new niches, new opportunities, new ways of doing things that are completely invisible to people who stopped learning after formal schooling ended.
And the contrast, unsuccessful people.
Often they're not students of their industry. They might rationalize they're too busy, or they prefer junk reading, or maybe spend hours on non-productive TV or internet surfing instead. They might just feel overwhelmed and not know where to start.
So the advice is find 30 minutes.
Find 30 minutes. Choose a time with fewer distractions. Often early morning works best for many people before the day's chaos begins. Make it non-negotiable. It seems small, but that consistent commitment turns into a significant cumulative advantage. It expands your knowledge, sharpens your skills, and makes those opportunity luck moments much more likely to appear.
Makes sense. Health is next, right? Habit, #4.
Rich habit, #4. Care for your health every day. Absolutely non-negotiable for the successful people Corley studied. Eating right and exercising are routine. Like brushing your teeth, it's just something they do.
How specifically?
They actively manage their food consumption. They understand what they eat and how much they eat. They avoid regular binges on high-calorie, low-nutrition foods. They make mindful choices. And exercise, typically aerobic exercise, jogging, brisk walking, swimming, biking, for 20 to 30 minutes at least 4 days a week.
And this isn't just about looking good.
Far from it. It fundamentally improves both body and mind. It boosts your immune system, meaning fewer sick days. It increases productivity and focus. It gives you more sustained energy throughout the entire day. Your physical health directly impacts your mental capacity and your ability to execute on all the other habits.
And the flip side, people who neglect this.
They often lack consistent control. They might chase quick-fix diets, exercise sporadically, maybe only when motivated by some external event like a wedding or a reunion. This leads to those frustrating cycles of weight gain and loss. And over time, it often results in preventable medical disorders, diabetes, heart issues, which sap their energy, their focus, and, frankly, their finances through medical bills and lost productivity.
So the practical advice from Corley.
Track your calories, at least for a while, just to get a real objective understanding of your actual consumption patterns. Identify those high-calorie foods you tend to overdo and make a conscious effort to avoid them regularly. And schedule that aerobic exercise, ideally in the morning, so life doesn't get in the way later in the day. Consistent commitment is key.
Consistency seems to be the theme here. Okay, habit, #5.
Rich habit, #5. Form lifelong relationships. This one is huge, especially in business, but also personally. For successful people, relationships are treated like gold. They are nurtured every single day.
Nurtured how? What does that look like?
It means networking isn't seen as a chore. It's fundamental. They make an effort to remember names. It's a big one. They remember birthdays, maybe send small gifts or cards for significant life events. They interact frequently, not just when they need something.
That's a key difference, isn't it?
Huge difference. And critically, they actively seek to help others, even when there's no immediate obvious benefit to themselves. They understand the power of goodwill and reciprocity. They network intentionally with like-minded, positive individuals. And, just as importantly, they actively prune their network, cutting ties with consistently negative or destructive people.
Protecting their environment in a way.
Exactly. The insight here is that every positive relationship is a potential asset. It could be a source of information, support, referrals, future opportunities. You just never know.
And unsuccessful people often approach relationships differently.
Very differently. Often with a, "what have you done for me lately?" attitude. They might ignore contacts for months or years and then suddenly reach out only when they're in desperate need of something. Corley calls this the put out the fire mindset of networking.
Transactional, not relational.
Precisely. Successful people, conversely, are students of relationship building. They return phone calls and emails promptly. They might use contact management systems, like Outlook or CRM, to keep track of important details about their connections, kids' names, hobbies, past conversations. They understand the profound cumulative power of simply remembering someone's name, making that birthday call. It keeps the relationship alive and can lead to exponential growth in their network, opening doors they never even knew existed.
That takes effort, but the payoff sounds enormous. Habit, #6.
Rich habit, #6. Live in a state of moderation. This is about balance, actively avoiding extremes in all areas of life. Successful people tend to be pretty even-tempered. They keep their thoughts and emotions on a relatively short leash, as Corley puts it.
Why is moderation so important?
They understand that life is a marathon, not a sprint. Sustainable success requires sustainable habits. So they moderate everything: work hours, avoiding chronic burnout, eating habits, exercise, not overdoing it, alcohol consumption, screen time, even how much they dominate conversations. This balanced approach creates comfort for others, which actually improves relationships, and it prevents the wild swings that can derail progress.
It's kind of contrary to the stereotype of the hard-charging, extreme workaholic executive, isn't it?
It often is. Corley points out the frequently modest lifestyles of many genuinely wealthy people. He uses the classic example of Warren Buffett.
Right, living in the same house.
Living in the same house in Omaha for over 50 years. Famously flies commercial airlines, even though his company owns NetJets, a private jet company. It's about practicality and avoiding unnecessary extravagance.
And the contrast.
Unsuccessful people often live in extremes. They might overindulge in food, drink, spending. They might overreact emotionally. Their moods swing wildly. This can lead to strained health, damaged relationships, and precarious finances. Often they fall into the trap of keeping up with the Joneses, accumulating debt, living paycheck to paycheck with no financial safety net. Moderation provides stability.
Stability seems key. Okay, habit #7 sounds very action-oriented. Do it now.
Rich habit #7. Accomplish daily tasks. Do it now. Yes, this is the direct assault on procrastination. Successful people simply don't defer what can and should be done today. They are laser-focused on accomplishment.
How do they beat procrastination? It's so common.
They use those daily to-do lists we talked about. Habit #2. They take control of their lives rather than letting tasks pile up and control them. They're proactive, which means they spend far less time putting out fires or dealing with self-inflicted emergencies because they address things earlier.
It sounds simple, just do it now, but we all know it's hard. Is there a deeper insight?
Corley suggests it's about rewiring that initial resistance. Successful people don't just say, do it now. They've often trained themselves to short-circuit that procrastination impulse almost automatically. Maybe they focus on just the very first tiny step of a task, making it feel less daunting. Or they immediately associate the feeling of completing the task with pleasure, overriding the initial urge to avoid it.
So they've changed their internal wiring around tasks.
In a sense, yes. Unsuccessful people, predictably, procrastinate. They delay, they put off, they defer, which inevitably creates problems that then demand immediate, often stressful attention. This leads to rushed, poor quality work, a higher risk of errors, and this pervasive feeling of being powerless, always behind.
So the practical tip is literally saying, do it now.
That's his core advice. When that thought, ugh, I'll do it later, enters your mind, immediately cast it out by saying firmly to yourself, do it now. Repeat it if you have to. He claims that once you simply start the task, pushed through that initial inertia, you'll often find yourself absorbed. And the feeling of accomplishment afterward is exhilarating, reinforcing the habit for next time. You realize the resistance was mostly mental static.
Mental static, I like that. Okay, habit #8 is about thinking.
Rich habit #8. Engage in rich thinking every day. This is about cultivating a specific mindset. Positive, enthusiastic, energetic, happy, generally well-balanced. Successful people are absolute masters of their thoughts.
How so? What does mastering thoughts mean?
They deeply understand a fundamental principle. Your thoughts create your decisions, and your decisions create your consequences, good or bad. So they proactively manage their thinking. They use positive affirmations, internally congratulating themselves for small wins, reinforcing their belief in their abilities. They use visualization techniques, vividly imagining their desired outcomes already achieved.
So they're actively directing their internal dialogue.
Actively. The insight here is that your mind is like a powerful engine, and what you feed it directly dictates its output. Your attitude, your energy, your actions.
So what do they feed it? Or avoid feeding it?
They consciously minimize their consumption of negative media, negative news cycles on TV, radio, the internet. They actively seek out constructive, uplifting, educational content instead. And they practice daily gratitude. Some literally keep a gratitude journal, listing things they are thankful for each day, which retrains the brain to focus on abundance rather than lack.
And the opposite pattern.
Unsuccessful people are often their own worst critics. They get caught in cycles of negative self-talk, negative thinking, which can spiral into depression. They often consume far too much negative media, reinforcing feelings of hopelessness and powerlessness. The core takeaway is powerful. You have absolute control over what you feed your mind, and that choice directly influences your reality and the opportunities you perceive.
That's empowering. Okay, habit #9 is very direct, very financial.
Rich habit #9. Save 10% of gross income every paycheck. Yes, this is probably the most concrete financial habit, and Corley says it's non-negotiable for wealth building. Successful people pay themselves first.
Pay themselves first. What does that mean exactly?
It means before any bills are paid, before any discretionary spending, 10% of their gross earnings, the amount before taxes, is automatically transferred into savings, investments, or retirement accounts. It's earmarked for their future self.
Automatically.
Ideally, yes. Set up automatic transfers. They invest this money wisely, often using qualified financial professionals like CPAs or CFPs for guidance. They monitor their savings and investments, set realistic long-term goals, and consistently participate in employer retirement plans like 401ks or fund their own IRAs if they're self-employed. This habit builds a powerful, compounding safety net and eventual financial freedom over time.
And the contrast is pretty stark here too, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Unsuccessful people often pay themselves last, if at all. They live paycheck to paycheck, spending pretty much everything that comes in. They often carry excessive debt, maxed out credit cards, home equity loans used for consumption. Their credit scores suffer. And sadly, Corley notes, some view the lottery as their primary retirement plan.
Ouch.
They often rationalize that they can't afford to save 10%, unwilling to make even small adjustments to their current lifestyle. The result: they often have no choice but to keep working well into their traditional retirement years, if they're physically able, lacking the financial security that consistent, disciplined saving provides. It's about securing your future through discipline, not just hoping for a windfall.
Discipline again. Okay, the final one, habit #10. It sounds similar to #8.
Rich habit, #10. Control your thoughts and emotions every day. It is related to rich thinking, #8, but it's a deeper dive specifically into emotional mastery and regulation in the moment. Successful people are the absolute masters of their thoughts and their emotions.
How is it different from positive thinking?
This is more about managing negative emotions as they arise. They don't fall prey to sustained anger, jealousy, crippling sadness, or other petty destructive emotions. When a negative thought or feeling pops up, and it does for everyone, they immediately recognize it and cast it out. They understand that allowing it even a second of life will permit it to take root and potentially lead to negative behavior and bad decisions. It's like building an internal thermostat for your emotional state, keeping it balanced.
So they just stop feeling negative things.
Not exactly stop feeling, but stop dwelling or acting on them impulsively. They employ a powerful technique for difficult situations, especially interpersonal ones. Think, evaluate, and react.
Think, evaluate, react. Break that down.
Think. Pause. Give yourself time to understand the situation fully without jumping to conclusions. Evaluate. Use that pause to consider the different possible responses and their likely consequences. What's the most constructive path forward? React. Only then do you choose and implement your response, ensuring it's appropriate and considered, rather than impulsive or emotionally driven.
That sounds difficult in the heat of the moment.
It takes practice. Unsuccessful people, conversely, often react before thinking. They adopt that ready, fire, aim approach, letting emotions dictate immediate actions, which consistently leads to bad decisions, damaged relationships, and negative consequences. Successful individuals also actively engage in productive activities, exercise, hobbies, learning to counter feelings of sadness or depression, constantly promoting positive feelings about themselves and maintaining unwavering control over their inner world.
Okay, those 10 habits, they cover a lot of ground. Mindset, health, relationships, finances, daily actions. It's a whole system.
It's a complete blueprint for living, really.
So let's bring it back to the stories. How did these habits actually play out for the people J.C. Jobs helped? Let's start with that first struggling client, the one whose Wednesday night confession started it all. He became J.C.'s guinea pig, right?
Exactly. This client was desperate, so he diligently followed the program for 30 days. He started with rich habit, #1, listing his bad habits: gambling, smoking, going out drinking too much, being late for work.
And the changes started quickly.
Almost immediately. Subtle but significant. Just quitting gambling, which was part of his new good habit list, not only freed up a surprising amount of money, but also freed up vast amounts of time. Time he'd previously spent hanging out at the sports bar.
So what did he do with that time?
Well, it made it easier for him to wake up earlier, get to work sooner, finish his workday with less stress because he wasn't rushing. And having that extra time at home significantly improved his relationship with his wife and kids.
The ripple effect.
Absolutely. Then, as he embraced rich habit, #2, set goals, and the do-it-now mindset from rich habit, #7, his confidence started to build. He felt more in control. This fostered a genuine desire to work harder and smarter, which directly led to increased sales for his business and new opportunities starting to appear.
And his health improved too, right? You mentioned walking.
Yes. Embracing rich habit, #4, care for your health. He and his wife started walking together for an hour after dinner every night, just walking. They both began to lose weight. That motivated them to pay more attention to what they ate, and eventually they both quit smoking too.
Wow. It's a perfect example of how one positive habit just leads naturally to adopting others. It creates this powerful, virtuous cycle.
Exactly. It lifts every area of life. And this miraculous overall transformation, business thriving, marriage better, health improved, it deeply moved J.C. Jobs. It was the proof. His methods actually worked on someone other than himself. It validated all those years of research.
So what did JC ask him to do?
At the end of those initial 30 days, JC made a really emotional request of his now thriving client. He asked him to return the favor, to find others for the mirror test.
Look for people reflecting his own past struggle.
Precisely. Seek out individuals in similar financial despair, people whose stories reminded the client of where he had just been, and refer them to JC for the same training, completely free of charge. This became the foundation for JC's nonprofit work, his mission to help millions.
Incredible. Okay, what about Dee Worthy, the secretary who lost her job? How did the habits work for her?
Dee entered that training room feeling completely beaten down, overwhelmed by her situation. But the book says she quickly became infected by the enthusiasm of the instructor and JC himself. Her initial list of bad habits was long, but she apparently attacked every single one like a pouncing tiger.
Where did she focus first?
Her story really highlights the power of rich habit, #4, health. She committed immediately. Limit food to 1,800 calories a day, 30 minutes of aerobic exercise. Because she was overweight, she started just by walking, but the result? Within 30 days, she lost an astonishing 25 pounds.
25 pounds in 30 days, that's huge.
Huge. And incredibly motivating. She also bravely applied rich habit, #5, relationships. She identified those destructive family relationships, the ones that had exploited her guilt and low self-esteem. And she made a conscious decision to eliminate or drastically limit contact, setting firm boundaries. She resolved never to let herself be used like that again.
Taking back control.
Completely. And that newfound confidence, that control, led to a really bold move. She contacted her old boss, John Andrews, the one who had fired her.
Wow, that took guts. How did he react?
Her visible transformation, the weight loss, was obvious, but also her whole demeanor, commitment. It profoundly impressed him. Despite some initial objections from his own manager, Mina, John took Dee back at Sunblade. It just speaks volumes about the power of demonstrating real, visible change.
So she got her job back. What happened then?
Her ascent was remarkable. She and Nina, the manager who initially objected, actually became fast friends. Nina started delegating more and more operational responsibilities to Dee. Eventually, Nina was promoted to CEO, and Dee took over Nina's previous operational role.
A complete turnaround.
And then, with JC Jobs' support, Dee implemented rich habits training for all Sunblade employees. The company saw significant growth, and the book says pretty much everyone involved became very well off.
Amazing. And her personal symbol?
Her personal symbol of transformation. She started running. She runs the Philadelphia Half Marathon every single year. The book mentions she ran her 20th this year at age 44. A living testament to sustained commitment to health and self-improvement.
Incredible story. Okay, let's look at Herb Reiser, the car dealer facing bankruptcy. What was his key issue again?
Herb's core problem was a direct violation of rich habit #5 relationships. He saw customers purely as one-time sales, neglecting to build any kind of lasting connection. That short-term transactional attitude, while it made him a star salesman, was killing his business as an owner. It drove away repeat business, service department revenue, the lifeblood of a dealership.
So how did he turn it around using the habits?
Herb made some radical changes immediately after meeting JC. First, he put up a big sign, under new management, signaling a complete cultural shift, even though he was still the owner.
A symbolic gesture.
Very symbolic. Then, crucially, he swallowed his pride and reached out to his old boss, the one he'd previously clashed with, over exactly this issue of customer treatment. He embraced rich habit, #3, self-improvement, asking for help.
How did the old boss respond?
His old boss, recognizing Herb's genuine effort and humility, didn't just lecture him. He actively educated Herb on customer relationship management techniques. And critically, he introduced Herb to his own valuable banking connections.
That bought him time.
Exactly. It bought Herb the breathing room he desperately needed to retrain his staff, completely changed the dealership's culture to be genuinely customer-friendly, the polar opposite of his old cutthroat approach. He adopted the think, evaluate, react model instead of his old fire, aim, ready.
And the result for his business?
Phenomenal. His business improved dramatically. He paid off all his debts. Eventually, he became so successful he could self-finance his inventory, meaning he didn't need loans from the bank to buy cars anymore, which is huge for a dealership's profitability. He went on to buy multiple dealerships and became one of the top automobile dealers in all of New England.
Another amazing transformation. But he did more than just fix his own business, right?
Yes, and this is maybe the most inspiring part of Erb's story. He became a top instructor at J.C. Jobs' Rich Habits Foundation, the nonprofit J.C. established. Erb personally, for free, trained nearly 10,000 individuals in the rich habits, people who were struggling just like he had been. He truly paid it forward.
Wow, from bankruptcy to helping thousands. Okay, last one. Phoenix Upman, the insurance salesman. His struggle was more internal at first.
Yes. Phoenix's initial big hurdle was rich habit, #3, self-improvement. He had completely convinced himself that he hated his job. He actively disdained reading any industry material, any technical stuff. He felt he'd missed his true calling in life, and that belief was sabotaging his performance in his current reality.
A classic self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. So how did he break it? Discipline. He committed to that 30 minutes of technical reading daily. The book says it felt like pulling teeth at first. He hated it.
But he stuck with it.
He stuck with it. Soon, it became a bit easier. He actually increased it to 45 minutes a day. He started reading product material, too. He kept a notebook, jotting down new facts, new sales strategies he learned. Then he started actively testing these strategies with clients.
And did it work?
Dramatically.
Yeah.
His appointment numbers nearly doubled. His closing rates increased significantly. That consistent self-improvement, even in a job he thought he hated, directly translated into tangible results. It proved the power of the habit, regardless of his feelings about the subject matter initially.
And that momentum probably spilled over.
It did. Into rich habit, #4, health. After his morning reading, he started jogging. He was almost 40 pounds overweight, but that consistent effort led to rapid weight loss, about 10 pounds quickly. Seeing that progress motivated him to finally stop smoking and cut way back on his drinking. These health improvements boosted his energy, his confidence, creating another reinforcing loop, positive habits feeding each other.
And it all tied back to daily goals, too.
Yes, rich habit, #2. He added consistent cold calling, literally just calling names from the phone book to his daily to-do list. He still hated doing it, but he did it anyway as part of his commitment.
Discipline over motivation.
Exactly. And that rigorous discipline eventually led to him landing a huge life insurance case. This secured him a recurring monthly production bonus, which was a game changer financially. That consistency propelled him from being ranked 3rd in his office to 2nd, and then finally to #1 producer in his entire firm for 2 consecutive years.
All stemming from those daily habits.
Directly, a result of focused, consistent daily action.
And the ripple effect continued for him, too.
Absolutely. His boss, obviously impressed by the dramatic turnaround in his production numbers, asked Phoenix to start training other agents in the office in the rich habits. The entire firm's profits began to soar as more agents adopted the principles.
And his son got to college.
Yes, Phoenix was able to comfortably send his son not just to college, but then to graduate school as well. Talk about intergenerational impact. Phoenix himself continued to climb the company ladder, taking on more management responsibility. And he personally took charge of conducting rich habits training for all new hires at the firm. A complete transformation from despairing at the bar to leading and teaching others the path to success.
These stories, they're just incredible illustrations of the power of this blueprint. So wrapping this all up, what does this mean for you listening right now?
Well, the stories of J.C. Jobs himself, Phoenix, Dee, Erb, and the clear, actionable framework of the 10 rich habits, they all underscore a powerful, really undeniable truth. Financial success isn't random. It's not about some secret handshake or just getting lucky.
It's a process.
It's a process. It's a blueprint built on consistent, deliberate, daily habits. It really is about taking control one day, one habit at a time.
And the knowledge itself isn't enough.
You know, knowledge is most valuable when it's understood and applied. And it's crucial to remember, these habits aren't just about making more money, though that's often a result. They're about transforming your entire life, your health, your relationships, your mindset, your sense of control.
They create that opportunity luck we talked about.
Exactly. They build a secure, fulfilling future, truly, regardless of where you might be starting from today.
So the challenge then, and also the immense opportunity, lies in, honestly, maybe uncomfortably, assessing your own daily patterns. And then having the courage to make a change, even a small one to start.
Absolutely. Remember, the journey begins with just one step, one habit, one conscious choice to maybe adopt that do-it-now mindset for just one task you've been avoiding. It's about recognizing that seemingly small, consistent actions have this massive exponential impact over time.
So let's leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay. Consider the staggering impact J.C. Jobs' work reportedly had. 3.5 million lives transformed. The book mentions a chorus of people saying, "He saved my life." It is a commemoration. It's incredible.
Truly incredible.
So this raises an important question for you listening now. If such profound transformation is possible, simply by adopting a set of daily habits, what one rich habit could you commit to starting today? Just one. Which one might be the catalyst for your own Grand Canyon shift?
Think about that. Just one habit. And what could that single change mean, not just for your future, but maybe for the generations that come after you? Imagine a world where your children, maybe their children, might never have to sit there asking themselves, what am I doing wrong? Because you chose today to understand and start applying this blueprint.
Thanks for tuning in to the Book Summary Podcast. If you found value in today's episode, hit that like button, subscribe for more summaries, and share it with someone who's ready to grow. Want deeper insights, exclusive book notes, and reading tips? Join our free newsletter. The link's in the description. And don't forget, if you'd like to read the full book, our affiliate link is right below. It helps support the channel and keeps the summaries coming. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing.